Hey folks, it's Steve here. This is my video diary. This doesn't have so much to do with the making of the album. I've got more of that coming up next week. Tomorrow I'm leaving. Right now it's September 10th. Got to play a gig tonight here in Mesquite, Nevada. And then I've got to head out tomorrow morning early. I'm going back to my home state of Nebraska. I'll be in my hometown of Kearney, Nebraska for a couple of days. It's going to take me a couple days to get there. It's a 17-hour drive. So I'll get to Colorado tomorrow and stay overnight and then head into Kearney the next day on Saturday. And there's an all-class reunion that I'm going to be performing at for my high school. And then I'm going to chill out there on Sunday. And then Monday morning I'm going to pick up a couple of pieces of equipment at my favorite music store there that I bought all kinds of stuff from years ago. And then I'm heading back to Colorado, and then I'll be back here Tuesday night. So this would be kind of the last video I upload for a little while, because I'm not going to be around. But by Wednesday or Thursday of next week, I'll be back on YouTube again. One of the things that had been asked was you guys wanted to know a little more about this new piano I put in here. It's not new by any means. This is actually, I got this in 2000, I believe. 2000 or 2001, so it's at least 14 years old, and I think it's 15 years old. But I bought this for one reason. This does not have a lot of bells and whistles on it at all. It doesn't have a sequencer built into it. It doesn't have any of that kind of stuff, and it really doesn't even have that many patches. But I bought it because it's got a really good sounding piano patch. And I also got it because it's very stable and it's attractive. I've had it out in my living room most of the time I've owned it. I just finally, about 2 months ago, I realized, I was like, God, it's just tragic that I'm not using this in recording. And since I'm going to be redoing so many things, not just my YouTube videos, but I'm probably going to at some point re-record or re-film all of my lesson content that I have in the members area. I don't know whether I'll redo the song tutorials or not. Those are a lot of work. So I don't know whether I'll actually do that, but definitely the lesson material and whatnot, I want to get it in high def and all that. And I thought this would be such a much better visual. And I probably should have done it 4 years ago, but you live and you learn. So anyway, but I've had this out. And so I bought it because it's good looking, it feels like a real piano, it sounds like a real piano and whatnot. And I wanted something I could play on regularly where I'd keep my technique up a little bit better. And I would say this doesn't feel, the action on the keys on this don't feel quite as stiff as a real piano. I think the newer models, like the Yamaha motif and those kinds of things, are nailing the the action and the feel of the keys as far as being like a real piano. They're getting it closer than this did, but this is weighted and it certainly feels more like a real piano than spring-loaded keys like the one back here. So, it's all fine and good. But anyway, I just like this instrument. It's not easy to gig with. As you can see here, it's got its own stand, okay? This part, there's a couple of screws under here, and I can lift this out and I can set it on an X stand, But I'll tell you what, I've never cared for the way this thing feels on an X stand. Oops, can't really see me. Got a good shot of my crotch, though. Yay. That's what everyone wanted to see. Anyway, I've never really cared for the way this sits on an X stand because it's got the shape of it's flat here for a little while underneath and then it curves up, and under here there's built-in speakers. So this has outputs. You can run it through a sound system, sounds great, but it's really nice for home use because it's got its own built-in speakers that don't sound too bad. I'll give you an example here. That's just out of its own built-in speakers. Now what I'm doing is I'm letting those play and then I'm running it through my system here, and it's coming out my monitors too, and so I get kind of a punchier effect that way here in the studio, but it's good because you can keep it quiet and soft and whatnot, and you don't have to have a sound system. It can just be played, so it's really good for home use in that way. Not real convenient for gigs. It's very heavy, difficult to find a case for, and like I say, it doesn't sit that well on an X stand. It can be done. I've done it before, but generally speaking, when I really want to play on this, and you guys might have seen like my Billy Joel tribute and my Elton John tributes that I did around here locally, I usually will actually buck up and just bring this, but I usually bring the stand it goes into because it's so much more solid that way. But boy, you know, that's not a real practical way to gig. So that's why I do most of my gigs on these 76 key deals here, and I'm probably going to acquire a weighted key 76 key instrument with a better piano patch here in the next few months for my gigs. I like 76 keys for gigs because they fit in smaller cases. They're a lot lighter to carry. There's almost everything you need. Occasionally I will miss, more often than not I'll miss the few notes that get cut off at the bottom of the instrument more than I'll miss the top. But honestly, it's not difficult for me to do everything I need to do in front of an audience on 76 keys, and it's eminently easier to travel with, carry around, find cases for, all that stuff. So that's just my opinion. But I do like having this instrument in my house. And as you can see, this is the piano patch. It's got a pretty good Fender Rhodes. Fun things with it. There's a chorus effect, there's a tremolo and a phaser. So if I wanted to, here's the phaser for example. So does this sound right? Don't go changing to try and please me. You never let me down before. So there are cool things you can do. With the chorus, it goes from this, which is pretty, you know, it's pretty harsh, if you will. Put the chorus on, it becomes this. You know, so if I were playing like, even though the original recording probably didn't have it, it would be like, this is without the chorus. Nowadays when Elton plays it, they use more of a chorus effect. It's more like this. So, you know, you name it. That James is a good one for this. Oops. You can do it without the chorus, it sounds fine. So it's got a pretty darn good Fender Rhodes sound on it. I don't use it a ton, but it is nice. And then it's got this thing called FM piano, which is another kind of electric piano that was kind of popular at the time. I'm terrible at remembering like models and numbers and that kind of stuff, but this one sounded like this. Started to get used in the late 70s a lot, and then in the 80s it became very, very prolific. One that comes to mind is, there we go. sticks. Babe, I'm leaving, my heart is in my hand. Na 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 na. You know, that kind of thing. Now this one really sounds pretty cool. I think the chorus effect is even better when you put it on this. Listen to what the chorus does. It goes from here to here. For you Billy Joel fans. On the beach beside that old hotel, they're tearing it down now, but it's just as well. You know, it's a pretty good sound for that, and of course then you can play stuff like Daniel on this too. So it's pretty good. And the other thing that you can do with this is you can mix the sounds, and there will be like 3 settings. It'll be where they're evenly mixed, where you can only do this with 2 at a time. So let's say we're going to put this FM piano with the Fender Rhodes, and we'll take chorus off. We'll just kind of put those together. So let's see. Okay, so this is the one where it's favoring the FM piano, but the Fender Rhodes is in there too. Okay, here's one where it's favoring the Fender Rhodes, but it's got a little bit of that ping. So that might be the one, because it'll give you a little bit harder attack if you've got that. I don't know if you can hear that little ping in there, but anyway, so you can do that. And then you can put chorus on with that. So when you put chorus on with the 2 of them blended together, especially if it's favoring the FM piano a little bit, you get a really lush kind of 80s. You know. So it's pretty cheesy, but you know, it's kind of nice to have it. That Chicago had that song "Hard Habit to Break." This is the perfect patch for that. I'm not even going to try to sing like Peter Cetera. Not happening. So, or. No, our love was meant to be the kind of love that lasts forever. See, I broke my promise. I tried to sing like Peter Cetera. But anyway, so that can be done, and there are some uses for that. So I'm really happy with the piano patch, Fender Rhodes patch, and the FM piano patch. And I like the different things I can do by blending them. Then it's got a harpsichord, which I don't have a lot of use for a harpsichord. I don't play a lot of Bach inventions. I mean, about the only thing I ever use a harpsichord for would be, you see here. Oh, so I gotta go here. There we go. But, you know, I don't even sing that song, so I like to play through it every once in a while. But as you can see, the volume drops way off on the harpsichord patch. So I'd probably be more inclined to mix the harpsichord with the FM piano. And even then I don't like it that much. So, not a lot of use. Then there's a string patch, which, you know, I'm not going to play a lot of string lines on this. The idea behind it is that you mix it with the piano or the Fender Rhodes or the FM thing. And you know, I like that okay from time to time. It kind of creates a string pad. But a lot of times that is a gimmick for me that wears off pretty quickly. So sometimes I'll be like, oh, that sounds so nice, because I just play a few bars and then I try and do a whole song that way. And it really, you got to be careful with the way you're using the pedal a lot, or else everything bleeds into everything else. So I don't use it a lot, but it would be great for some things. I mean, for instance, I think it'd be a great effect for arrive on the planet and blinking step into the sun. There's more to be seen than can never be seen, more to do than can never be done in the circle of life. It's got its purposes, but more often than not, I don't use that because, for one thing, things tend to bleed, but the other thing is, like, when you add a string sound on every note you're playing, now you really have to be careful with the pedal, because you're going to run into a polyphony problem. And polyphony, for those of you who don't know what that means with a keyboard, polyphony means how many sounds can be made at the same time. And so if you've played fairly thick chords and you didn't lift up and come back down and start anew with the pedal, with the sustain pedal, move on to another chord, every note you're hitting, you're having two sounds, because you have string and piano happening. And pretty soon the instrument runs out of its polyphony and it starts clipping things off and it sounds choppy. So there's an art to playing with this sort of thing. This has got a pretty high polyphony, but like I said, by and large, I don't really tend to mix string with piano that much. That's just my personal preference. There's a lot of people that do and do it well, and I applaud them. This would be a great thing if I were playing also. Another Elton John song that comes to mind with that would be... What am I gonna do to make you want me? What am I gonna do to make you care? You know, beautiful, especially in the middle there. work really well on that. So it's got this thing. It's got 3 different organs, none of which I ever use. There's a pop organ, and a jazz organ, and a pipe organ, which you'd never do that with. That's more like, you know. I'm terrible at that kind of music. Never have been good at it. Never wanted to be good at it. Have not practiced it much. But it's a decent sounding pipe organ. I just don't really have much of a use. So mostly what this thing is a piano that I occasionally use an electric piano sound with as well. And you know, like I said, I really like the sound. It's great. It's got a great sound for recording. And on special gigs where I really want that, you know, that extra special sound, I'll bring this out. But again, it's not a very practical instrument to take out on the job with you, I'm afraid. It's logistically kind of a pain. I like that it's got this music stand. You can fold it down like this. Except the problem there is if you get to pounding too hard, if you do some Jerry Lee Lewis, this will go. Which at a gig through sound system, you're not even going to hear, but at home, you hear it a lot. I don't know if it came through for you, but I can hear it vibrating, so I usually leave it up. But you know, those of you who've seen all my old videos, I used to tape lyric sheets on the wall, and now I can just put them here when I'm doing the performance. So that's my Baldwin Pianoville. Oh, and the transposition key is really easy. It's just right here on the panel, and it's just negative and positive. So the only problem with it is that it doesn't show you how many steps up or down you are, how many half steps. So you kind of have to remember, but it's really easy. You don't have to like go into a certain setting and change the screen and then go down. You know, I mean, it was like, need to go down one. Boom. Okay, great. So there you go. That's my Baldwin Pianoville. Some people asked about it. I'll tell you some more about some of my other equipment later, but I wanted to give you that little bit of insight because I had about 5 people email me and say, tell us about that new keyboard, Steve. And as usual, I'm a total idiot with gear. I've never been really smart with this stuff, so this is all I can tell you about it. It probably does shit that I don't even know about, but all I really needed out of it was a nice volume controlled piano to have at home, and that's exactly what it's been for me. It's been a champ for 15 years, going strong. It's good looking, and shortly after I bought this, Yamaha completely took over the piano and keyboard market. So go figure. Anyway, I'm glad I got in while Baldwin was still doing good work. Okay, I'm going to get out of here, and thank you very much. Like I said, I won't be back on YouTube for about another week because I've got to be out of town for a while on the job, but I'll be back working on my album. I'll do some more video diaries, and I'll keep up with refilming all of my YouTube covers and whatnot. So plenty of work going on, and I'll be around a lot. So it's good to be back. And I'm glad to say that I'll mostly be working in my area for the next while, so I will have a lot more time without gaps to do YouTube videos and whatnot. I won't be on the road quite so much after this. This is my last trip for a while. So thanks a lot, gang. And remember, if you're not having fun when you're making music, you're doing it wrong. I'll see you on the next one. I'm Steve Lungrin.